This episode of MarbleCast is brought to you by Marble Weightlifting Online Program. Our programs are run through Train Heroic. It's a simple, easy-to-use app for all of our athletes to track progress while providing top customer support. From our Olympic weightlifters to our fit body boot campers, our programs are there to keep you motivated and stay on track. So check out the link in the description and get started today.
We tend to blame the most recent activity for our injury, right? I threw a baseball, my shoulder hurts, I hurt my shoulder throwing that baseball. It's not that simple.
No.
Right? That was the activity that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but every single thing in my day played a factor.
All right, welcome back to another MarbleCast. I am Joe Marble, and today I'm joined by special guest Jeremy Pastor, a physical therapist from Freehold, New Jersey. Welcome, brother.
Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man. I'm glad you're here. So this is the second time you've been here. The first time we met maybe 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was a while ago.
It may have been 2 years.
Yeah. So you did some demo work. I don't know if anybody contacted you after that, but I hope they did.
I've moved around a little bit since then, so I won't hold any grudges.
Nice, perfect. So where are you working out of now?
So I own Game Changer Physical Therapy. I've been open about a year. I was located out of Wall, but actually right now in December of 2020, I'll be moving to Freehold, so I'll be right around the corner. There's a new warehouse gym going up right next to the DMV.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Okay. What kind of gym?
Just sports performance gym, and then I'm going to have like an office inside of there.
Oh, that's cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were attached to Sportica before, so now you're attached to another. That's good.
Yeah, it just helps with kind of the niche that I work in and kind of like my subspecialty. It works to kind of be around that clientele.
Yeah. What kind of training do you do yourself?
So right now, I'm a little bit less structured. Just because life. So I program for myself. I mean, you want to call it more of like just like a bodybuilding split, but with a little bit of more emphasis on some of the things that I do from a rehab standpoint of incorporating different movements. So it's a combination of like, chasing strength, but also kind of mixing in enough to stay healthy too. So I definitely don't train the way I used to where, my deadlift's not exactly over 500 pounds right now and not chasing like 400-pound squats, but trying to maintain a respectable amount of strength and just staying healthy.
Just staying fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like maybe a CrossFit light bodybuilding style?
That's fair.
I like that style too. That's kind of my thing. CrossFit heavy is too heavy. I don't like it.
Yeah, it's just not what I'm chasing right now.
Yeah. Everybody's goals are a little bit different.
Absolutely.
So obviously, we do CrossFit and weightlifting, and I like to tell people our gym is a strength and conditioning gym with an emphasis in weightlifting and powerlifting. Mm-hmm. So we get a lot of aches and pains, as most CrossFits do, but I think as a general fitness program, CrossFit is a great foundation. The biggest issue I run into is coaching weightlifting for the everyday person, and that's probably the biggest turnoff for me. Do you see a lot of people that come into your office that are way against CrossFit? Are you way against CrossFit? Or what kind of different people do you see that come in?
I mean, I'll be honest, the people that take a really strong stance one way or another are doing so without proper context.
I agree
right?
with that.
I think that you have to understand, I'm a physical therapist, right? So my goal typically is someone is coming to me in pain for a particular reason, right? I cannot necessarily make someone's goals for them, right? So whatever they want to do with their life, however they want to train, whatever sport they want to play, they are free to do whatever they want with their bodies. My job is to, one, try and address why they're in pain and then do my best to get them back to whatever it is they want to do with their life. So if somebody wants to, participate at a CrossFit gym, if somebody wants to compete in CrossFit games, then I better have the skills to be able to get them there or be able to send them somewhere that does. I have nothing against CrossFit. There might be certain changes we need to make, like in the very acute stages if someone's in pain and some of their daily activities might be playing a role in why they're feeling certain things, but those are modifications. Right, I'm not here to take something away from someone unless they're just not married to an idea.
Right. I agree with that. Yeah, you have to understand what your actual goals are and where you want to get to in that particular sport and why you're doing it. So, in my mind, CrossFit is a great base for the everyday person. Anybody could do it because everything's scalable, and it doesn't have to be CrossFit. It could be Orange Theory, Fit 45, or whatever other fitness thing. Essentially, we're all trying to do the same thing. We're trying to squat, press, and deadlift in various different ways using dumbbells, kettlebells, barbells, whatever. Nothing. So no matter what you're doing and what you call it, essentially every foundational general program is quite similar. It's just the way you attack it that makes the difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I get a lot of new people that come in, and then they go see a doctor, and the doctor tells them you shouldn't be going to CrossFit. It's bad for you. And I get very agitated.
It's frustrating because what's happening is that people are making unfair generalizations. Right. And because right now our topic is CrossFit, I think we know the common generalizations people make, but that's true of anything. Right. Like, I mean, you can even think of the physical therapy world, right? Someone has a bad experience with their attempt at rehab, and they go and they say, like, PT didn't work for me. It's like, well, no, your specific experience didn't work for you with whoever you worked with, right? But that's not physical therapy. That was that individual experience. Just like with CrossFit, like, can someone get hurt doing what, you know, the overarching title is CrossFit? Sure, but can we prove that it's CrossFit that hurt them? CrossFit's just a brand. Right? Like, a squat's a squat, whether you call it CrossFit or weightlifting. The question is, what other factors are we not accounting for? Right? So it's a really unfair generalization, right? We need to understand that, like, if we didn't use the word CrossFit and we just said training, would you tell that person not to train anymore?
Exactly.
Right? It's like
100%.
an emotional response.
So what else is funny is that I would have people who we have all ages, right? From 15 years old till 73, 74 years old. And a lot of the people, they don't get injured here, but they go to Taekwondo, they go swimming, and a couple of people got injured swimming. I was like, see, and they say CrossFit's dangerous. You got injured in a pool doing something like low impact exercise.
Yeah, and I think, listen, I work in the rehab world, so I think that the point that I try and get across to people is, like, when we get injured, right, we tend to blame the most recent activity for our injury, right? I threw a baseball, my shoulder hurts, I hurt my shoulder throwing that baseball. It's not that simple.
No.
Right? That was the activity that was the straw that broke the camel's back, but every single thing in my day played a factor, right? Some more heavily than others, right? The way I train, the way I move, my physical and mental stress levels, my sleep, my nutrition, right? There's nothing that's not a factor. Right? But how many variables can we account for before going crazy, and where can we make the biggest change, right, with, like, the minimal effective dose? Right, and then we start to look at things like, oh, well, that looks dangerous to the eye, so that has to be the reason. It's like, that's not fair either.
Right. No, yeah, everything factors in.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to take everything into account, guys. Don't limit yourself. I think as people, we just want to blame something and somebody. It's like, it's not my fault, it's your fault.
Yeah. I think that the general public has a fear of the unknown.
Yeah.
So we want an answer.
Yeah.
Even though we can't justify all the answers we come up with.
The answer is to just keep moving, guys. Fitness is everything.
Yeah.
And fitness is greater than fatness. Don't forget that.
Is that on a shirt somewhere?
It's going to be.
It's going to be.
It's going to be in our Spreadshirt shop.
Nice.
That was actually a quote from our Holiday Wars. By the time this video comes out, it will be over, but we're shooting this, and we got the last week, the Super Total coming up, so it's going to be awesome. Epic finale. Yeah, so biggest thing for us, we squat every day here, and we get this assessment that you shouldn't go below 90 degrees, your knees shouldn't go past your toes, and I heard you talking to Mike about that. You want to see your knees go past your toes, so talk to me about the squat, man.
I think that, again, it all comes down to, like, can you put it in the proper context, okay? When we're looking at a squat, I'm a physical therapist, so I care first about maximal health, and then I care about kind of like bridging the gap between that and the performance end of things, right? Your goal is going to be kind of starting closer to the performance end of the spectrum, right? So what we look for might be very different, and what I look for is going to be very different in each individual person. There's very specific reasons why somebody may benefit from stopping at what I'll call like parallel with the ground, and there's some people that would benefit from us pushing depth and understanding how to get like a full depth squat. And the reason why I do it is very different than kind of the traditional reasoning that people speak about, right? In order for us to be able to get a full depth squat, our knee needs to track past our toes. Like we need what we call a positive shin angle. There's a transition point, right? So in order for our pelvis to basically create the shape necessary to get down into a squat, our ankle needs to be able to dorsiflex. Our shin needs to be able to come forward, which is driving knee flexion, bending of our knee, right? And now we're talking about integration of multiple joints to get down to what we just arbitrarily call a deep squat, right? If we don't allow the knees to track forward, I mean, we've all seen it. The first thing that happens is the hips shoot back. And it's just going to have a trickle-down effect on where the force is being applied, right? So then, is it more force on the low back? Is it, maybe a tightness in muscles that cross the ankle? Is it stress being put on the knee? It doesn't really matter. Like, it could happen anywhere. I think the point is, we need to understand that we want to get to the point where someone can execute a squat with proper mechanics, feeling the right muscles working at the right time, obviously not feeling it in any areas that we don't want them to feel it, and obviously we don't want pain. If they can get to a certain depth with all those things checked off, we work within that range and we try and build to getting to whatever depth they can control, right? So then that looks different for everyone.
Absolutely.
And then it's just a matter of like meeting them where they're at and not trying to make everyone look the same way. But arbitrarily saying knees can't go past the toes is literally driving compensation when we don't need to.
Right. I think the reason that comes up most of the time is that if you're squatting and your knees are clearly going past your toes, it can definitely mean that you're shifting way forward and you're not keeping the weight as balanced as you need to. Is this working? Yes, it's working. All right. Sorry. So that's probably the first assessment that I understand as knees over toes, where if that's what's happening and your knees break first and they're shifting over your toes first, definitely we need to correct that. Everything has to stay balanced. Any deviation in that balance is going to cause any disruption with any joint because now you're pulling those muscles in different ways.
Right. So what is balance is avoiding extreme deviations, right? We don't want either end of the extreme. So how do we know, like, what is right? What is enough? It's like, well, we know that we want to be able to maintain full foot contact. We want to be able to stay heel heavy, right? And if we can track our knees forward, staying heel heavy, then it's probably, and I say probably safe to say that we're not getting that like shift forward, right?
Right.
But if we are getting that shift of our center mass forward, like you're saying, that's when people lose their heels, right? All their weight's going on the balls of their toes. You start to see things happen higher up the chain. It rarely happens at just one joint. Right. Like everyone gets the tunnel vision of like knees. Oh, the knees are going past the toes. The knees are going past the toes. It's like, what about the ankle? What about the hip? Right.
Yeah,
like,
what about the other parts of this movement?
Yeah. Like there's so much happening in a squat.
Yeah.
Like, let's take a step back here.
Yeah. Fully agree with you. And that's the way we treat anybody here. We have a lot of older clients here, and they're not all going to full depth. And it's not like they're trying to compete in CrossFit. They're just trying to feel good and move around, which is the only important thing in my mind. Whether or not you hit the standard in a general class, I don't care. Did you move around and are you working towards that goal? Great. If you're not working towards that goal and you're just trying to throw a ball at the wall, obviously, you know what we expect. So try to do it. But I'm not going to yell at you all day to get you to squat all the way down. Like, listen, you're 58 years old. You just started working out last week. Good for you.
Absolutely. I mean, from the business side of things, like, what are people coming here paying you for?
Right.
They want to work out. They want to feel good, right? Nobody wants to leave feeling worse,
no,
right? Like,
absolutely not.
Right? So you give them what they want, and you have an understanding of if something looks a little bit too far from what I want it to look like, this is what these are the steps we need to take.
Right. And every now and again, we'll have little competitions, and I will have standards, and there will be certain things that I need them to hit. But in the general class, listen, you're going to cheat. It's fine. The reps are going to be insane anyway because it's CrossFit, and we have to. So, yeah, at 120 wall balls per workout, maybe you went down on 60 of them. I'm happy. That's good to go.
Sure.
But obviously, if we're in a competition, different scenario, we have athletes that are competitive and we treat them a little bit differently, a little bit more strictly, as they should be. They're held to a higher standard, as I hold myself to a higher standard. So that's really the only way you can treat it. Everybody's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be at a different fitness level, and I think that's the way you do your physical therapy, which is right on. And I'm glad you came in.
It's awesome. I appreciate it for having me.
Yeah. So where are you moving now?
I will be inside of a gym called Iron House. It's going to be they're brand new, so they're opening the same time I am. We're hoping construction will be done in the middle of December, and I'll be right next to like the DMV on Okerson Road in Freehold.
Okay. How has COVID interfered with your business?
So my previous setup wasn't ideal during their early shutdown. I mean, let's be real, right? Like in March, I think we were all kind of
nothing
panicking.
was ideal. Everything was terrible.
Like I don't think anyone knew how to handle this in March. So early on, like I shut down just like everyone else, even though physical therapy is considered an essential business, whatever that means.
Right. What the hell does that mean? It was essential to me to be open, but I was close.
That's a conversation for itself, right? So I shut down. I wanted everyone to be safe and take the necessary steps, and then I wasn't able to open back up until between June and July. So it was a long time for me. But moving forward, being considered an essential, like I'm going to take advantage of that. I do all one-on-one treatments. I'm not one of those mills that sees 8 people in an hour and you're working with an aide. So people are pretty comfortable when they come in to see me because it's only me and them. So from a volume standpoint, right, it's as safe as it could be. And obviously we take the necessary steps to be clean and everything. So moving forward, God forbid there's anything else that goes on, it shouldn't affect my ability to continue treating people. If it ever did or people didn't feel comfortable, I've been doing, virtual meetings with people for a long time. I have patients all over the world right now. So I always did it for my remote clients. I never really did it for the local people because people are okay with, traveling 20, 30 minutes, 40 minutes if they need to. But if it's a scenario where people can't leave their homes or they're too nervous, I do see people through Zoom also.
Awesome. Yeah. The shutdown, same idea for us. We had to go Zoom, we had to go virtual, and that's kind of how we ended up with this podcast. Did you do the same thing? You have a podcast?
I don't yet.
Okay.
Right now I'm just an avid guest appearance.
Awesome. That's perfect. Yeah. So we ended up going a little bit more virtual during this time, and then if we get shut down again, I'm really gonna push this stuff. But I mean, we'll see what happens in the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. I think we can wrap this one up, man.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming by. Thanks for showing us all these exercises and going over this stuff with me. I appreciate it.
Always happy to do it.
Thank you guys for listening. I'm Joe Marble, and I'm here with
Jeremy Pastor.
All right. Age is inevitable. Weakness is not. So get out there and lift some shit and keep moving, guys. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next time.